Right, although my hands are still cold, I just thought I'd show you this one very quick, just because the other day, down in the other bit of woodland, a couple of miles away, we found evidence for roe deer using their droppings, scat. And I talked about the difference between other kind of species that make pellet-like droppings. Now, rabbit, of course, do make pellets as well. They're quite small. But this is the kind of the classic sheep dropping, and I shall point down here. So this is sheep, and you can tell it's sheep. It's rounded like that. It's very much more of a kind of round formed pellet, and also the fact that it's everywhere. You can see. Of course, this also will clump up depending on what the sheep has eaten, but also the age of this as well. If you can see, this one is a fairly light brown. It's quite, you can see the definition within the actual dropping of the bits of grass and vegetation that this sheep has ate, and leads me to suggest this isn't very fresh. This is probably a couple of days, if not older, perhaps even a week old. And so this has been here a while. Again, you've got to think about it. When's the last time it rained? That affects the dropping. It rained here with the kind of a combination of snow and hail and rain and everything else about 3 days ago now. So that looks like that's been subjected to rain, washed slightly but not heavily, suggesting probably, like I said, about 3 days, 4 days old, something like that. And also it's got that kind of really lighter tan colour. Again, if it was fresh, it would be kind of more shiny and not looking quite so matte, a matte light brown colour, which is indicative of having been exposed to the elements for a while. So that's the kind of difference between, say, the deer dropping and the sheep dropping. The also rather telltale giveaway is that it's absolutely everywhere. Even though there's not sheep in here, you can see it absolutely everywhere. So, for instance, I'll take you to this one here. This one's slightly different. This is a very shiny dropping. This suggests that this is a lot fresher. So this is probably done within, I would say, probably sometime during the night time, because it looks very fresh, very, it's cold enough for the moisture to freeze, really. So that would have frozen, the moisture on these have frozen. So I would say that this has been done very recently, in the last, I would say 4 hours, something like that. So that's a much fresher dropping than the one we've just seen up there. And again, if we move one step down, we go back to what we had last time, which is this here, which is a very dry dropping. I wouldn't say it is as old as the first one we saw, because the actual dropping hasn't been washed quite so much. So you're not seeing the actual bits of material of grass and vegetation inside the dropping. So I'd say it's younger than the first one, but it's definitely older than the last one. So this one looks like it's probably going to be at least a couple of days old. One thing that does affect quality also is the condition of the animal itself. If sheep get diarrhea, you'll get a very, very, very wet, sloppy looking dropping as well. So it's all to do with the quality of the animal. What the animal's eaten also affects what the dropping looks like. So really here it's just a morass of different stages of sheep dropping in different stages of decay, and it's quite a useful little template just to go around and look at the different types of dropping and how they change over time, and what a really old dropping looks like, and what a very fresh one looks like, and the different types as well. Again, this will happen to deer as well, which is you get clumped droppings like this. Again, this is sheep, but this one, it's being clumped together rather than coming out as pellets. And as their diet becomes more nutritious as the spring comes on, so you'll get more of that clumping because there's more nutrition in their diet. And so the same thing happens with deer. You'll get the deer dropping will clump together sometimes, but you'll still see the individual pellets. And I think with deer droppings you get to see, even when it's clumped, more of those kind of pellets are more defined within the clump than you do with sheep. Looks almost like, sometimes sheep dropping can look almost like a canine dropping. It suddenly takes on that kind of quality. And now if you really wonder, this is going to bug everyone else out, that's what happens sometimes. We've got a sheep here who's obviously had basically what we term the squits, and so you got a dropping that looks like that. But again, you can tell it's sheep dropping because it's the green tinge in it. So that's just to do with, you know, the state of the actual animal itself. Right, so I'm going to turn off again, just because, again, I've got to warm my hands up, and just going to keep just gently working our way through. I did forget one thing in here. We do have one animal other than sheep, which is fox. Just a bit further down here there is a fox territory. I'll leave to the edge of a fox territory because there's quite a lot of evidence of fox dropping on top of these stumps, which is a classic sign of what foxes do. Right, and there we go.